Christ. Ugh. Gamers, pat yourselves on the back real quick. Just because you have had to deal with all the oppression, all the hatred, all the slander this decade for your actions and bravery in the gaming community. You've stood up to racism, bigotry, bunch of your mama jokes. You stood up to it all, and you took it. You took it for the team, because we're gamers. How long can I verbally shitpost before even I'm sick of it? I think gaming was pretty crazy this decade. I still don't understand how we went from Angry Birds on the phone to everyone playing Fortnite by the end of the decade. What can I say about video games? Well, I like them. I like video games a lot. I think games are an excellent form of diversion. I think they do more to immerse than some movies. I think they do more to make a personal connection with the player than any other medium. And I love that. I love that about games. So, I want to tell you about 25 games that really got to me, personal. Like my other lists, this one's going to be very personal, not going to be based on how many sales, how many merits, how many awards, what have you. Not worried about that. We're going to focus on what I liked, because this one's about me. Alright, sliding on into number 25, we got Apex Legends. Now, Fortnite was arguably the farthest gaming went this decade because there were so many people playing it. Never had so many people playing a real console/PC game. Just had a group of Christmas carolers come to the door, so I forget what I was saying. Apex Legends is better than Fortnite. In terms of battle royales, this could just be me being a total Respawn fanboy. I got more enjoyment out of Apex than I did out of H1Z1, PUBG, Fortnite, hell, even CSGO's battle royale. Why? Apex was just so smooth, so enjoyable. The visual style was great. The guns were familiar to me, having loved Titanfall 2. I think the ultimate abilities, the classes, and the revive system, and all the forward-thinking ideas that were put into Apex Legends made it feel like I was playing a whole new genre, instead of just playing the same old battle royale. Number 24, Castle Crashers. This was the first Xbox Live Arcade game that I played with friends, and it stuck with me very, very much because I bought it again on PC, bought it again when I got an Xbox One. I bought it every chance I had available. Castle Crashers is perhaps not the easiest game to play. It is challenging, especially in the later sections. Pretty grindy, most beat 'em ups are. The diversity of weapons, the different weapon combos that you could pull off, all the magic, very silly attitude taken to design and execution. It made it incredibly memorable. I remember everything. I remember the laser cat fight. I remember the dragon who had like a sock puppet. I remember fighting Arabic people. Beach volleyball. So what can I say about Castle Crashers other than it's a good time, which is exactly what a game for 4 friends should do. It's a great time, and it's a simple one at that. You just mash buttons and kill people. Sometimes a little more strategically than others, but still, you're just mashing buttons and killing people. Number 23, BioShock Infinite. I know that this game gets a lot of flack from hardcore BioShock fans, but personally, I enjoy it, because if you remove the E3 promises and you remove BioShock 1 and 2 from your mind, and I know that that's not a very good argument for why a game is good, but if you do that and then play BioShock Infinite, what you get is a really, really, really good game. Because if this was not labeled as a BioShock game and was just labeled as, I don't know, Booker's Challenge, it would have gotten a ton of critical praise. If you just labeled the vigors as different things, sure, people would draw BioShock connections, but they would have goddamn loved this game. Between the skyhook, between the story, Elizabeth as a character, the time travel stuff, I think BioShock Infinite deserves much more praise than it gets. Number 22, Dying Light. There are many zombie games in which you can take a fully loaded AK-47 and kill about 100 zombies before you need to reload, Left 4 Dead. And in Dying Light, they say, here are zombies that are, for the most part, slow, but at night, incredibly aggressive. Good luck. The parkour definitely made this game. The smooth locomotion in every sense makes this game what it needs to be, because by taking the zombies and slowing them way down, but making them still overpower you in combat, genius move. By making guns really hard to access, genius move. Almost all the design choices are super unconventional for a zombie game, but they made me rethink what a zombie game could be, and I really wish that I played Dying Light before 2019, because I only picked it up earlier this year, and it blew my mind. All the upgrades that you can get just add and add to the experience. The story is well fleshed out. The game looks great for 2015. I have virtually zero complaints about Dying Light as a video game, and I can only hope that the sequel will be better. Number 21, Inside. I played Limbo at a very young age, and it disturbed me. I played Inside at an older age, and it still disturbed me. Playdead just know how to get under your skin, and I appreciate them for that, because instead of putting you in a first-person scenario of psychological horror, such as, I don't know, Layers of Fear or Outlast, Inside decides to pull the camera back. And what is happening, if in first person, would be mortifying. I could compare it to, I don't know, The Evil Within, with all the really grotesque characters, The Forest, maybe. When taking this faraway look at it, you think more of the implications of what is happening, and less of, oh shit, there's a big scary monster made of 14 arms. But when you see it from afar, you really think of what's happening. You think, oh my god, I'm mind controlling these people that are vegetables otherwise. It disturbed me in a way that not many other games did. It was more thoughtful in its delivery of fear, and I appreciated it far beyond any other horror game for that. Number 20, Rainbow Six Siege. There were a lot of games that go fast this decade. I'm going to give a lot of praise to games that go very fast, higher in this list. But I still appreciated Rainbow Six Siege for knocking me on my ass for trying to play fast. This game, while not realistic, it very much encouraged me to slow down and smell the roses as much as I could in a first-person shooter. And while in games such as Counter-Strike, where you can still b-hop around to the back of the team and kill everyone with 5 well-placed headshots, in Siege, aside from a single window peek, you can't really do that. At least I haven't seen it pulled off, not that I'm very good. Siege punishes. If you don't learn to play within its rule set, it will knock you on your ass. It did for me, and I love it for that. Number 19, Dusk. The complete opposite of Rainbow Six Siege. It is in no way realistic, fast beyond description, and it is brutal. Dusk was not the only game this decade. Not the only game this decade to think about what it would be like to have a modern reimagining of a golden age shooter, yet it seemed to be the one that pulled it off the best for me. Games like Strafe just didn't fully comprehend what made those games great, and honestly, I don't either. I just know that I like it when it's fast, I like it when it's fluid, I like when I can switch between all my weapons one after the other. Just rocket launcher, shotgun, sniper rifle, assault rifle, just gun after gun after gun, filling anyone with bullets. Pretty easy to take some people out. It's just a matter of how. And that's what Dusk made fun. Okay, whatever. Let's just roll with it. Let's literally just roll with it. Not like I lost 1 recording, 2 video clips. It's not like I've gone through numbers 18 to 14 like 5 times already. Why would I be mad about that? Number 18 is Baba Is You. Baba Is You is a game that I was aware of for a while, but then I just kind of stopped thinking about it, and then it came out and I was like, whoa, this is out. And then I picked it up and it blew me away. What it did was essentially bring the basic coding of programs like Scratch from my childhood back to me in the form of a puzzle game. And from the very first puzzles, there's a puzzle that literally asks you to think outside of the box, or else you can't solve it. You have to break the game to play the game. Sure, Baba Is You can appear a little bare bones, especially with it appearing almost buggy when you just walk over walls. But I think that what Baba lacks visually, it makes up for in gameplay, because every single puzzle solving piece, every piece of the puzzle that is solved, it feels like an aha moment, even when you haven't solved the whole thing. The aha moment almost always comes without the expense of me feeling like an idiot in the process. Baba asked me to think outside of the box. I did think outside of the box, and I was greatly rewarded for it. Number 17, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a game I played very, very, very much this decade. For those who don't know, what happens is one person sees a screen with a randomly generated bomb, and the other person sits on the other side of the screen, not allowed to look at the screen, and they have a manual that tells them how to defuse the bomb in any situation. The only way that each person is allowed to figure out how to defuse the bomb is through verbal communication, and as such, it makes for a ridiculously tense co-op game. I played a lot of this to the point where I found one flaw in the game, and that is that I started to figure out how to solve the puzzles on my own, having played this game enough. I thought they would update the bomb manual from time to time to shift how the game worked, but they never did. My solace would come in the form of community updates with custom modules. Those were the best addition this game made, because it gave nearly infinite replay value to a game that was already stretched out in what you could achieve with it. Number 16, Rocket League. I think if you pitched Hot Wheels Soccer to me as a video game, I would be like, yes, please, I want to see that. but I would never anticipate it to be as good as Rocket League is. With the underlying complexities of what Rocket League is as a game, it made for not only a great fun multiplayer experience, but an awesome competitive scene with people being able to air dribble and the wave dashing and all these different techniques that came together, these little things that would give you a minute advantage that could shift the entire game. I'm amazed that it took off too, because it's so unorthodox. It's not a sports game, it's not a first-person shooter, it's hardly a racing game. I don't even know what I'd call this. Just a good damn game, and I love that it is where it is today. Number 15, Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. I don't think I've ever seen a game balance the absurd and the serious so well. We go from a cutscene of breaking a cripple's legs to asking your dog to go up and stab someone in the neck. As an open world game, it's relatively barren. There's not a ton to explore. Most of the bases are pretty similar, yet the way that you engage with them, infinite possibilities to how you can tackle almost any situation. Every interaction with each individual guard at a base is memorable. You can choose to shoot them in the face, as simple as that, or you can sneak up behind them with your rocket arm, shoot them with your stun pistol, distract them with a bottle. I feel like Kojima knew what was coming with Konami, and because of that, he decided to go all out. Because this Metal Gear does not have the best story of the Metal Gear games, but I think that it does carry the best gameplay. And I know that that's a bit of a controversial opinion, especially where a lot of people play Metal Gear for the story. This ain't no Snake Eater, but I had more fun with this one than I did with Snake Eater. Number 14, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Counter-Strike, specifically CSGO, is incredibly important to me. I have, at this point, almost 2,300 hours in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. I have played almost every mini game that is possible on Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Surfing, bunny hopping, decoy dodgeball. When I think of a multiplayer game, I want this. This is exactly what I want from a multiplayer game. I keep coming back to it because it is so refined, because it is so imperfect that you can exploit it the way you can, and because it has given me my best gaming memories. Thank you, Valve. Thank you, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. The only reason I can't put it higher is because it is not perfect. It really is not. As evidenced by all the community members screaming, Valve, please fix, when there's a minor issue. Counter-Strike is not perfect, but the experience that I've had with it is. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Number 13, Hotline Miami. Drive is a great movie. Hotline Miami is inspired by Drive. This means that Hotline Miami is a great game. Taking the whole idea, running with the synthwave soundtrack, the brutal, mysterious character, the insane over-the-top violence. Hotline Miami achieved something, I don't know what it is because I didn't make a fucking script for this video. Hotline Miami, Hotline Miami, Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami, Hotline Miami. Hotline Miami, Miami. It's a good game. It's a good goddamn game. It's one of the best top-down shooters. It's one of the best violent games. And its soundtrack is a lot of money on vinyl. Number 12, Minecraft. Come on, I had to put this somewhere. I don't know how many hours I have in Minecraft comparatively to CSGO, but I have played a lot of Minecraft. What do you want? Seeing stars. Can't record. Look, Minecraft is as popular as it is for a reason. The ability to create whatever you want in the creative mode and explore and survive as you want in the survival mode, it allowed for so much. It really is a perfect sandbox game. Gmod, eat your heart out. Well, come on then. You want to be part of the video? No, come here. You chose this path. No, I have a surprise for you. This is my dog, Lily. Lily will be in the video for the next few bits. Number 11, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Now, I know when talking about fantasy RPGs, if we are going to talk about anything, we should be talking about The Witcher. Now, that's a should and a we and a lot of other things in quotation marks, because I didn't like The Witcher as much as I liked Skyrim. In fact, I liked all these games that I put on the list more than The Witcher. I will take the pitchforks from that, because Skyrim delivered to me something else. It had so much more character to me than The Witcher did. The Witcher had the few characters, but interacting with all the guards from Skyrim, interacting with the world of Skyrim, and the dragons, and Parthenax, and stealing stuff. Skyrim's world to me is so much more memorable than that of The Witcher's. Is the combat in The Witcher better? Sure. I respect The Witcher. I really do. My soul belongs to Skyrim. I love being the Dragonborn. I love the combat. I love enchanting my weapons. I love only being a two-handed brute because I don't know how to do the magic classes properly. I love the world of Skyrim. I love getting lost in it, and it was so much more transportative to me than the world of The Witcher. Now, is arguing that I like Skyrim more than The Witcher a real testament to how good Skyrim is? Well, that depends on how much you like The Witcher, really. So I'll just leave it at that. Number 10, Shovel Knight. Shovel Knight came out of nowhere for me because I did not follow the Kickstarter campaign. I did not follow anything related to Shovel Knight. I just saw it on the store page, thought this looks cute, and decided to play it. The retro bliss that this game achieves in such a short time. I don't know, maybe the game's longer than I remember it, but I remember it being short. It's challenging, but not impossible. The expansion packs like Spectre Knight and Plague Knight, those were awesome. Now they're making a whole bunch of spin-offs now, which I'm not really too sure about, but I can say for certain, Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, the original game, is a masterful platformer. I don't think this game slipped once. I don't think this game hiccuped at any point in the playthrough. It was constantly challenging, constantly interesting, tons of hidden secrets. It was just a joy to play. What more could I ask? Number 9, the Stanley Parable. Again, much like Shovel Knight, I did not follow any of the Stanley Parable. I didn't know it as a mod. I didn't know it as anything other than its final build that is now available on Steam. I think they were doing like some deluxe version. For what we have right now, I think the Stanley Parable is one of the most unique experiences that you can play as a video game. You play as a silent protagonist navigating a bunch of different stories and adventures. The narrator hovering above your head at all times. He comments on what you do. You can defy what he tells you to do. He'll snap back at you. He's quippy, he's witty. The dialogue written for him is excellent. The sheer diversity of what the Stanley Parable offers in terms of game is what merits it being here. If you just play the Stanley Parable and listen to the narrator, then you get a pretty cool story. As soon as you start defying the narrator, you realize just how open-ended and amazing that the game is. Number 8, Enter the Gungeon. Gungeon brought me many hours of fun and enjoyment. Now I know some people would definitely put The Binding of Isaac here before they would put Gungeon here, but as I said in my video on Gungeon, I think so highly of this game for its diversity, for its commitment. Not many other games showed a sheer love for video games as well as Gungeon did this decade. Gameplay is smooth, everything feels just right, the rockets are punchy, the blanks feel awesome when you clear the stage. Beating a boss is incredibly satisfactory. And I'm now, having like made my video about it and having moved on from it a bit, before I beat absolutely everything in Gungeon, I got 260 hours out of it. And I think that that is much more than many games will offer you. Number 7, Antichamber. If you haven't figured it out at this point, I love my puzzle games. And Antichamber dropped me on my ass for thinking that I could solve it. It's so counterintuitive. It presents so many insane ideas with impossible architectures that don't make any sense. It puts a gun to the back of your head and forces you to rethink how puzzle games function. There's even one part in the game where you walk to the edge of a drop and there's just WTF in huge letters. And I think that's exactly how this game presents itself. It wants you to be weirded out, and as you are weirded out, the game decides where you are going to go. You don't decide where you're going to go. The whole time it's got these poetic little drawings with little quotes. I think they're super cute. They always pertain to the puzzle that you just completed or are going to complete. Little hint. Most puzzle games ask you to be resourceful, but Antichamber wants you to be thoughtful. Okay, you're going? You going? Going? Okay. You're out? Alright, I see. Rip recording. Number 6, Super Mario Galaxy 2. I legitimately think that the Super Mario Galaxy games are the closest that Nintendo has come to recreating the magic of Super Mario 64. That game is perfect. Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. If I had to pick one that's the best, it's definitely 2. Super Mario Galaxy 2 says, oh, well, I mean, you're familiar with all the elements from the first game, so we can go crazy with these ones now, right? And it does. It really does. Yoshi was awesome to have back. Stuff like the Throwback Galaxy brought a tear to my eye because of how amazing it was to see stuff like that up on a big screen in the modern day. And ultimately, I think Mario Galaxy 2 was a more challenging game. Of course, I mean, like Mario Galaxy 1 had stuff like, I don't know, Luigi's Purple Coins, stuff like that. But the Purple Coin missions felt more like a nuisance than anything else, where you didn't have things like the perfect run. The perfect run took me hours, and I love that level in retrospect for challenging me as much as it did. So Mario Galaxy 2, it's pretty good. Before we get into the top few, I want to do some honorable mentions for games that I think absolutely deserve to be on this list. Just didn't put them here because I've made my own restrictions, because I did that for some reason. Undertale. Undertale was probably the biggest indie game I've ever seen. It went from Toby Fox spreading his game by word of mouth to streamers to almost everyone that I know knows Undertale. Sans Undertale being in Smash? Are you kidding me? I'm proud of Toby for achieving something so monumental. Fortnite, obligatory shout out to Fortnite for getting people to actually play console games, despite them being free and battle royale. I think it's spoiled now, but you know what? For what it's worth, Fortnite, you did a very good job of bringing a mainstream audience into the universe of gaming. I guess Dark Souls was important. I played very little of it. I did not get very far in any of them because I am very poor at that kind of game. I don't use controllers much. That being said, I appreciate the crap out of Dark Souls for being as expansive as they are, and I explored a lot of the lore despite not being very good at them. I enjoyed that much of the Dark Souls universe, and I appreciate what From Software does, constantly sticking to what they're good at. Halo Reach came out this decade, and Halo Reach is the best Halo. Oh, I should have had that on the list. I'm stupid. Okay, we can't take things back now, but Halo Reach should have been on the list. Halo Reach is the best Halo game because it brings Halo down to a humanitarian place, and it asks you to cooperate with characters. Halo Reach is awesome. Halo Reach is the best Halo, and Halo Reach should have been on the list. Let's move on now, yeah? Let's do that. Number 5, Titanfall 2. I know in my initial review I said Titanfall 2 wasn't perfect. I said there were some flaws with it. I don't remember what those flaws are, but that was dumb either way, because Titanfall 2 is a perfect first-person shooter. It has excellent fast-paced multiplayer. The gunplay is phenomenal. The single-player campaign is loaded with memorable moments. I can't think of many other first-person shooters from this decade that can hold a candle to the different environments and explosive story moments. When you first meet BT, when BT first throws you, the time travel mission, the crane section, the crazy jumping between ships section. So much of Titanfall 2 is perfect game design. Play this goddamn game. Number 4, Doom 2016. I can't say that everything about this game is perfect. The multiplayer is pretty mediocre. It's okay. I can play it for a while, but it does get boring quickly. The single player, however, I have about 80 hours logged in Doom, and probably 65 of them are just me replaying the single player. On Nightmare difficulty, this game is the pinnacle of first-person shooters that I have played this decade. Good God, this game is brutal. Brutal to the core. The glory kills were the best decision that it has ever made. Every weapon feels excellent, especially with the mods, though some are better than others. The demon design is amazing. I can only pray to Satan that Doom Eternal is anywhere near as good as this is. If Doom Eternal gets the multiplayer right, it might be a perfect game. Doom, for what we have right now, snap map, pretty cool. Multiplayer, pretty cool. Single player, best thing I've played ever. But we got 3 more to go, so let's keep it rolling. Number 3, Portal 2. Portal 2 was the... Portal 2 was the first game that I owned on PC. My dad had busted old work PC. It was pretty good for its time, but it could still only run Portal 2 at about 15 to 20 frames per second, and I played through the whole game like that. Some puzzles were borderline impossible without a high frame rate. My point is, this game was so good that I powered through it on a work computer in 2011 just because I loved it so much. The dialogue is the best ever written for a video game. The puzzle mechanics are fleshed out so much more than they are in the original. The only complaint that I have with Portal 2 is that it does not have as dark of a tone as the original Portal. It's just more energetic. The perpetual testing initiative, the community-made chambers, that was an excellent decision to give the game infinite replay value. The cooperative testing initiative, the co-op mode with Atlas and Peabody, amazing. Best co-op puzzle I've ever played. The single player, what the hell? And it's $10? It's like $1 when it's on a Steam sale? Are you kidding me? God, if you haven't played Portal 2, please do yourself a massive favor and do so. Because it took puzzle games, which before this game I thought were stupid, only for educational purposes. And then I played Portal 2, and my life changed. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Hardcore Zelda fans think that this game cannot be good because it is not a Zelda game. Allow me to present a retort to that. Fuck you. When considering what makes a game a Zelda game, it's just the title, it's just the characters, it's just the world. Is the world of Zelda here? Yes. We didn't pull a goddamn Wand of Gamelon. What we got here is a Zelda game. Sure, it's not as story heavy, and that's because you can't have it be linear and open world. The Zelda games have always been linear, and because of that, the story has been more intricate. So because the story cannot be intricate in this open world game, the story just works out the way it does. It's minimal, but it's still impactful. The cutscenes are excellent, but forget all that because the real draw of the game is the open world. What the hell were people at Nintendo smoking? This is perfect. I don't know how a game can be both the best walking simulator, some of the best third-person combat, some of the best puzzles, and have such a fleshed out world all at once. Every praise that I gave to Metal Gear Solid 5's open world applies to Zelda, and then multiply it by 10. The world is gorgeous for the Switch. The goddamn combat. The combat is so fun. You don't have to engage with any wild things, but you do anyway. Why? Because it's so freaking satisfying. I'll say it again, everything about this game is satisfying. I can play this for a whole day and never feel bored. The cooking is fun. I hate cooking games. I despise Cooking Mama. I will take Cooking Mama out back and shoot her. I love the cooking in this. I have no idea how this game is what it is. I think it deserves every little shred of praise that it has received. This game is perfect. I don't care what anyone says. So my number one game. It's not Breath of the Wild, not Portal 2, not even Mario Galaxy. It's nothing that's been listed so far. Because my number one game of the decade is Fez. And Fez is not as well known as everything else on the list. So I would attempt to describe it, but I truly believe that you need imagery to understand how Fez functions. Because if I explain to you that it is a 2D game that functions on a 3D plane, that doesn't really make sense. And so showing you Fez is the best way to explain it. So Fez is a puzzle platformer. Half of the game can be achieved through pure platforming, and the other half of the game can be achieved through pure puzzle solving. And I think that's what I like the most about it, because the company that made Fez has gone out of their way to create an alphanumeric system and their own different codes that you have to decipher on your own. There's a Rosetta Stone in the game that teaches you how to decipher everything, and you have to look very, very carefully. You have to immerse yourself in the world if you want to solve the puzzles. It's not something that you're obligated to do. You don't need to solve the more complex puzzles in the game, but there's so many areas of interest. Like when you climb the bell tower and there's little symbols on each side of it, you know that there's something more to it because you've explored this world and you've understood the puzzles thus far. There has to be something deeper to it. There's so much mystery surrounding everything present in Fez that I was overwhelmed when I first played it. It's amazing. I've never had a game grip me so tightly and pull me into its universe purely because I wanted to play it. Because I can play a game like Breath of the Wild lightheartedly. I don't think I can engage with Fez without being completely sucked into its world. It was free a while back on the Epic Store, so if you picked it up then, I highly recommend that you play it. I also highly recommend that you even just buy the game and play it. There's so much uniqueness, there's so much creativity poured into this one game. There may not be much of a story to it, but Polytron know that they don't have to have a story. They just need good gameplay and good visuals, and they achieved that on such a high level. It's astounding to me that Fez exists. I've played more of almost every other game here than I have of Fez, and I think that might be because Fez is so special that I feel that if I play it again, I'll ruin it, because it does not have a lot of replay value, but the experience is so unique that it has stuck with me ever since I played it back in 2015. And that is why Fez is my favorite game of this decade. And so that is my list. Those are my 25 favorite games from this decade. Did I miss something that you liked? Probably Witcher. Ethan. I know you're watching this. There's a lot of games that I missed. Look, if nothing else, I just hope you get some recommendations out of this. I know that a lot of these games aren't games that were very popular in the public eye, save for a lot of the multiplayer ones, and I hope that you give them a try, because I care about them a lot, and I'm definitely going to continue to care about them a lot, especially into the next decade. So, yeah, again, no outro, so